Hello and a warm welcome to Toals Bookmakers. We're just going to do a bit of a Cheltenham preview, get ahead of the action. Only a couple of days to go. Chris, have you got the Cheltenham buzz this year?
I do indeed, Calum. Yep, it's the 4 best days of the year for all National Hunt fans, so thoroughly looking forward to it.
We'll start off with the first day of the Cheltenham Festival. Feature race is a champion hurdle, and Chris, this is probably the best champion hurdle we've seen in the last lot of years. Obviously, Beauverdare's won the last two. You know, if you look at the form, Petit Mouchoir placed in the first of those wins. Next time, Melon looked like he might have looked like he was coming to maybe beat him last year, but he finds a way to win. You know, he doesn't maybe get the respect he's due, but if he wins in this field, surely he'll be a great.
Yeah, I agree with you there. As you say, he doesn't really get the respect he deserves. He's going for the hat trick this year. First horse to do it since Estebrack, in the same colours. But it is quite a competitive race this year. Apple's Jade in flying form, fighting up top of the market then too.
Is this the right race, do you think, for Apple's Jade?
I think it is. I mean, it won over 2 miles there in the Champions Day in Ireland. It did look good that day. There was a question mark over the distance, but it impressed that day, surely did.
And where would you be lying from a betting point of view in this race?
I do like Apple's Jade, but one for each way players. Melon. Melon hasn't been in great form this season, but Cheltenham form was second in the Supreme, was second last year in the Champion Hurdle, just going down by a neck to Beauvedare, so at 14 to 1, I would be looking at Melon each way.
Fair play, yeah, fair play. For me, I won bet in the race. It would be Apple's Jade. I just love her. I've been a huge fan of her since her first run at the Triumph Hurdle a couple of years back. It was only her second run. She was 16 to 1 that morning. I followed the horse ever since. She wasn't herself last year. They said she was in season for the Mares Hurdle, and her both of her defeats the Benny Duo. But this year she's better than ever, and I think the rain will play into her hands as well. Lorena's got questions. The answer, she looks a bit big and doesn't look like a champion hurdler to me. So for me, it would be Apple's Jade. Okay, we'll go on to the Supreme, your favourite race, Chris.
Yes.
And you had the winner in this last year, so who wins it this year?
I did indeed. Somerville Boy won it last year. Two I like in the race this year. Alexia Dunwee, who is actually following the same sort of path as Somerville Boy, won the Tollworth last time out. Also like Angel's Breath. The one thing about Angel's Breath is a bit inexperienced. But looking through the field, I think that could be the classiest horse in the race, and I'm willing to take a chance on Angel's Breath.
Okay, I would agree firmly with Angel's Breath in the sense that there's been so many strong vibes about this horse from Nicky Henderson's yard. I was fortunate enough to be there for its debut at Ascot, and it looked very, very impressive. And last time it really looked like a prep run when it was giving weight to Southfield Stone and getting beaten narrowly. I wouldn't read too much into that. I think the horse certainly seems to prefer soft ground, judging by its runs and entries it's had in the past. It's been pulled out once or twice when the ground's good, but I think the way they talk about this horse, he's going to be in the mix at the finish. The other one I would put up, Elixir de Nuts, I really like his Cheltenham form. If you're thinking Elixir de Nuts, anybody watching, I would go Itchy Feet might run a big race at a big price if the ground stays good. He gave £5 to Elixir de Nuts for a length and a quarter defeat. But he hasn't run on anything that's softer than good, so that might be a concern. But Fakir Judaris is the other one that I would take on with Angel's Breath, because each time he's run he's been extremely well backed. JP McManus has bought him. He was obviously going to be a contender against Sir Eric in the Triumph. He's been rerouted here. He's been extremely well backed in both of his runs so far. And the market vibes for him have been very hard to dismiss. He gets the 4-year-old allowance. 4-year-olds don't have a great record in the race, but I don't think there's been a better 4-year-old than him since Binocular running in it. So those two would be the two. Okay, so moving on to the Arkle. Now this has been a race that's been easy to predict over the years. Altior, Vuittor, Duvan, Footpad last year, they've all been short price favourites. All had the best form going into the Arkle. This year it looks, people are saying it's a poor renewal. I don't agree with that. I think it's got strength and depth in this race, but yes, is there a superstar in the race, or is there somebody you like?
I don't think there's a superstar this year, to be honest. It has got quite an open feel to it. I mean, it's 7 to 2, the head of the market there. I do like Glen Forza, Mick Shannon trained horse. Started off the season over 3 miles, but has gradually been stepping back in distance and was very impressive over 2 miles last time out. Beat Kalashnikov quite a fair way. Glen Forza at the head of the market for me would do.
I completely agree. I think he's the best bet in the race. I love Mick Shannon's horses. He's got 2 horses running at the festival, and I really strongly fancy both of them. There's the races number 2 and 3 of the festival. Glenn Forsa in the Arkle and Mr. Whittaker in the Ultima. Glenn Forsa, first and foremost, he was campaigned over 3 miles. I was so impressed that day with his jumping. I think he's the best jumper in the race, and you need to be an extremely good jumper to win an Arkle. He stays further. The only worry for him potentially could be there's a bit of pace on the race. Knocknanis, I think, is overpriced, because if he gets into rhythm, he can be very keen in early going, but I think he's a very good front runner. Master Dino, he gave weight to last time over 2 mile 3 in a terrific race at Plumpton, and he was beaten, but I think if they ran off levels over 2 miles, it would have been very interesting. And if Master Dino was running this race, he would definitely be the favourite. So Glenn Forsa, I think he stays further than the 2 miles with the early pace on with Knocknanis and Ornua. He'll sit in behind the pace. Layler and Hardline could be the ones that pick up the pieces if there is a really strong pace. Layler's Cheltenham form from his chasing debut is the best form in the race. Hardline's impressed me in a couple of runs so far. He stays further. He was aimed at a few races, but he runs here. But I think all things considered, I would go Glenn Forsa as well.
Yeah, Benny to do at the head of the market. Hasn't ran, as you say, since last season. Beat Applesgate in this race last year. Applesgate had excuses. Also beat her again at Punchestown with seemingly no excuses. The only downside is Benny Deju, is it fit enough? Ruby Walsh, Mullins seem to be happy enough. They've done the same thing with Govega over the years. Turned off for that one run.
Vroom as well.
Yeah, Vroom Mag as well. Benny Deju, round about even money. That'll do for me.
Okay, fair enough. I think the favourite probably wins, but I wouldn't be interested in our odds on with such an absence, because I think there's some really good mares in here. Lady Buttons is very tough. She's been winning a lot this season. Jester Jet's been winning on top 2 a lot this season. Mia Storm has always been held in high regard. She's been campaigned for this. She's run over fences. Some of her form over fences is stronger than any of the others' form in the race. She's been really well thought of. She stays further than 2.5 miles, and looks like she's been campaigned for this, so she could run a big race. But the one that I like the most is, from a betting point of view, would be Roxana for the Skeltons. She's really tough. She stays 3 miles. She was a length and a half behind a length and a quarter, I think, behind Santini in the Grand Sefton at Aintree after Cheltenham last year. She's very tough. She has really strong bits of form, and she stays further. I think she'll give the favourite a real race here. I think she's a really good each way bet. Anything else on day one that catches your eye, Chris?
I actually like the look of the Ultima handicap chase. There's one in there I fancied, Manila Rocco. Hasn't been the greatest of form, but has been dropping down the handicap. Has great Cheltenham form as well. Actually won the National Hunt, beating Noel the Native River, who goes for the Gold Cup later on in the week, and also was second in a Gold Cup as well. So it has great course form in El Rocco, and round about 9 to 1, it's a decent price as well.
I think that's a fair shout. Measure of My Dreams was also third that day in that 4 miler, and he's favourite for the Kim Muir. He's around 5 to 1 for that. Certainly, yeah, if this is a bit of a plot from JP to get Manila Rocco running here, I actually think that the one thing I would have against him would be, it might not be enough of a stamina test for him given how he stays, you know.
Yep.
But I think, you know, if the ground, he seems to be a good ground horse, and thrown in that race, you'd have to consider him. I like Mr. Whittaker. I think Mick Shannon could hit the headlines on the first day with Glenn Forsa in the Arkle and Mr. Whittaker in the Ultima. Mr. Whittaker won the Close Brothers Novices Handicap Chase, the last race on the first day at Cheltenham last year. Brian Hughes was on board. Brian Hughes is going to be on board again. He steps up to 3 miles for the first time. Mick Shannon says he's been willing to step him up to 3 miles. He says he considered him for the Gold Cup. That might be the plan for him next year. So stepping up in trip, soft ground, the softer the ground, the better he is. He's got Cheltenham Festival winning form. He might be let in lightly off 151 here because his last RPRs have been in the mid 150s, and he's running. He was given weight to Cerny in one of his defeats. He's won a great race earlier on in the season, which the form's really worked out strong. Cerny was behind him that day. So Mr. Whittaker it would be one of my strongest handicap fancies of the week. So that concludes our first day's look at Cheltenham. Chris and I agree on a couple of those at least.
Yep.
Don't forget you can visit toalsbet.com to see all of our prices and specials that we have. We have a number of enhanced boosts on the first day. It seems to be a wide open Champion Hurdle, Supreme and Arkle, so first day should be very exciting.